Okay.
Just me and you, mano a mano.
No beer. There's a beer. No beer over there.
Okay. There we go.
What's a beer?
1 second, Reggie.
What's a beer?
Okay.
A beer.
Okay, 1 second.
And the sour.
We'll start in 1 second.
Aha.
Okay, we're gonna start. Let's go.
All right.
I wish there was a better one. This was what we have. Okay. So, a woman and a man are in two separate areas, and they asked a question to Moshe Feinstien. Where does who has to go to who? Yeah, who's forced to go to whose area? And this was actually written to him by Rabbi Pinchas Hirschsprung.
Right.
Pinchas Hirschsprung was he was Chabad he was Rosh Yeshiva of the Chabad Yeshiva. Photographic memory. He went to the famous yeshiva by Rabbi Shapiro in where was it? Yeah, where it was. But the famous Rabbi Shapiro who started the Daf Yomi.
Right.
Daf Yomi. Let me see. I'll tell you in a second where.
So he was doing Daf Yomi on Shulchan Aruch.
Well, nah. He
was he doing Daf Yomi on Talmud? Okay.
Yeah, right. That was saying, but this Rabbi Hirschsprung was basically the one that kind of started it. You know, he kicked off the whole thing.
Yeah.
Let me just in a second. I'm going to search off where he was. Rabbi Shapiro. I think it was in Vilna.
Yeah, I got no response from Chaim. I did send him a message.
What did he say? Oh,
I sent Chaim a message. He's not responded to me.
Oh.
So.
Sorry. So
something must have happened.
Oh. All right, here's what it is. Hopefully
anyway.
it's okay. Yeah. So his yeshiva was in Lublin. A famous thing of Lublin. That's where his yeshiva was. He basically decided that he wanted to build a yeshiva with a dormitory and a kitchen all in one building. In those days, when you wanted to go to yeshiva, you usually had the boys would usually stay in different people's houses.
Yeah.
And eat in different houses, and then usually the boys would sleep in different stores. Right.
Yeah.
So as watchmen. It was very dangerous for these kids. And unfortunately, there were fires sometimes that would break out in these stores, and the kids couldn't get out. It was very tough for the boys. So he said that I'm going to make my a new yeshiva that has everything all in one: a dormitory, a kitchen, you know.
Yeah.
For Poland, it was a new thing. Now this is already happening in Russia because Toen happened before him, and Toen was the Chabad yeshiva already happened there beforehand, but. Definitely in Poland, this was a new thing. So unfortunately, a lot of when the war came, it knocked a lot of people out. But this Rabbi Hirschsprung, he went to this famous yeshiva. He was a very big rabbi.
Mm-hmm.
So he had this question. He said, if a man and a woman they have a sichsuk, they have a dispute between them, who needs to go to who? So Rabbi Hirschsprung was in Montreal. He set this question to Rabbi Moshe Feinstien, who was in. I don't know if he was then where, but I think he was in Lower East Side, right? So he says like this: regarding a man and woman that are having a sichsuch, they're having a b'neihem, they have a argument between them. Behem mishtim kemis b'simsad machlekes sheb'neihem shanidan hu le'ezeh beis and tzrichem elech mishum shu reitza sheyeh dinam b'veisin shal makema v'hi reitza b'veisin shal makema v'hi iksav harav keser harav shehi tzich alech l'beisin shemakim habal v'reitza keser harav le'da'im gam daiti harniya b'zeh. So basically, she's in, I don't know, let's say Arizona, he's in Mexico, or he's in New York, and who has to go to who? So now this Rabbi Hirschbaum, he said he thinks that she needs to go to him. She needs to go to her husband. And this Rabbi Hirschbaum wants to know what was Rabbi Moshe's opinion on it. So we're going to hit to that right now. In Bischat Tzuvah, Choshen B'Sibud Yudal, Tziv Katan Dal, Hevi Marina Amrav Hershel Ashkenazi, the Ish Tzricha Lalech Amakim Ish. So in the Bischat Tzuvah, which is on our Choshen Mishpat now, Rabbi Hershel Ashkenazi wrote that a woman has to go to the place of now. Why? Because a woman is obligated in the honor of her husband. And he compares this to a son that needs to go to his father, just like a son needs to go to his father because of what? Of respect, of kavod, of honor. So too a woman has to go to her husband because of respect and honor. However, the Pischei Tzuvah, when he says this, because of Pischei Tzuvah, the Pischei Tzuvah does not agree to this, that a woman should go to a man. But he doesn't write a reason for it either. Our Pashani is Darti. You know what? I can't read that word. 1 second. I have over here the original. What's that? Yeah. Shalai de makavada isha lebaila lekavada ben aviv lekavada isha lebaila hirak min is chayvus shmin ish the ish teish efshal zeh sheida shetzrichen lanu b'neihem sheini davar hamatzoi leichavu bekavada. So he basically says that the Moshe basically says that I would not compare the covenant between a man and a woman to the covenant to a father and a son. Why? Because the father and a son, the relationship, the bond over there is not something that's just because of a quote unquote, a civil deal, something that was created with the mutual understanding. But rather, a father and a son is a biological thing that the Torah kind of says this is the way it's going to go. A covenant between a man and a woman is different. A covenant between two spouses is based on the obligations between the two.
Yeah,
and because right, and because the wife is obligated to take care of the husband with certain things, therefore, and likewise, the husband is required to support the wife. So therefore, there's certain honor due to from the wife to the husband.
Yeah,
these are only with regarding to things that have to do with these are only between these particulars of marriage that a woman has to quote unquote respect her husband. However, on the contrary, we know that a husband has to also respect his wife.
Yeah, has to be mutual.
Yeah. On the contrary, he says, "Hagam hu chayav l'chavda." The Gemara says the opposite as well. The man must give honor to his wife. And there's also an embarrassment for a woman to go in front of a beis din. In general, as it says in Yavamas, as it says in Ksuvas. So he's saying I would say a little bit the opposite. I would say it's possible to say that for the wife to go to the husband might be an embarrassment for her, and therefore we should not push her to go there. Now, even though Rashi and Sanhedrin Daf Ayin Va Pirush Amachav Takshin Naim Chamakim Harimash, which are Naim in a Medin covered. His Kav Mehen Shich is Guala Chashuva, Bim Kain Kolish Kain Shemochiv Kav Dabit Vam Shalit Bas Behen. He also says that there's there's a Gemara that talks about that the husband has to get takshitim, which is basically jewelry for the wife, and he bases over here that the reason why the husband has to get jewelry for the wife is not because he has to give her clothes, because jewelry is not really clothes, but rather it has to do with the concept of honor. A man has to honor his wife and make sure that she feels honorable.
Yeah.
The Yamhaber Rambam Perek Tzuvah Isha Shachar Yitas Kosav Stam Shehi Adam Mechabes Isha Yesu Megufay. Achach Balchus Le Kosav Din the Isha Tia Mechabenes Val Yesu Midai Ayin Sham. He also brings down that the Rambam Maimonides clearly says that a man must honor his wife more than himself. Al Kapan Kamazehu Min Yana Yischayvas Vahu Gam Din Bein Meha Isha La Isha Ven Isha Isha La Isha Shakriach Zech Shutila Besim Shemakaimai Kim Nirshkam Tam Lahebach. So he's saying just to go and say that because of honor, one to go to another one, it's very tough, and he's basically explaining the Pesachei Tzuvah, right? He's explaining this rabbi who did not agree that the woman should go to the man. Why is that? Because both are responsible for honor, and to a certain extent, man is more obligated to honor his wife, and also there's an embarrassment for a man for a wife to go before a husband before a Beis Din.
Sure.
There's an embarrassment for a woman to go in front of a Beis Din, even if it is to just annul her vows, as it says in the Gemara. So that's the idea.
Especially if it's a dispute with the husband.
Right. So as of now, Moshe says that if things were just clear cut, and equal, then the husband could not force the wife to come to him. Right. However, that's just the clear cut rule.
Yeah.
Let's see what happened in this situation. Okay. Feel bad that Reb Chaim is missing this. He would have been very excited to learn Igros Moshe with us, but okay. However, the Moshe says that it is possible that in our situation the woman should go to the place where the husband is, and the woman should go to the Beis Din where the husband is. Because in the beginning, she was living together with the husband. Now she's running away. So even according to the Shita of Rabbi Yonatan, Even Ezer Asun Ein Heisif Aleph. Shem Shavin Sarech Abal Ladur B'Mkeima Moide B'Darai B'Irai Av Shenasima Achkach L'Ira Lo Yisadid Lo Yachal Hitziyav Avla Makim Ach Krisa I think Beishmol so Kamakas. Yeah. So basically it's like this. He says that basically over here, her place is really, her original place is with his house. So basically, what he said over here is different. Over here, the wife ran away from the husband. He's saying over here is different. It's one thing if one person lives in one place, another person lives in another place, and then you can say who should go where. But over here, the place of the wife is really with her husband. That's her house. She just ran away because she couldn't stand what was happening, right?
Right.
But essentially, her place was with the husband, right? That was her house.
Yeah.
So the fact that she ran away, she so we were going to make her come back to the place where the husband is. That's what he wants to do over here. Yeah. Okay. And we're going to open this up and explain it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The Gam and also Habasm also this fact that she leaves her husband's house, and therefore she becomes a meredis, meaning she's rebelling to a certain extent. Right? I mean, it's not rebelling per se, but basically everyone sees that she's leaving the house. Everyone sees that she's the one walking out. Love. Yeah. And the reason why she leaves is because she has a bunch of complaints, right? And she thinks that according to her, right, and according to her opinion, he should leave there. I'm sorry. According to her opinion, she had to leave because the things were getting too bad. Therefore, so therefore, everyone kind of sees what happened. Everyone understands that she left, right? She walked out. So since she walked out, she loses, quote unquote, the ability to say this is my home. Or actually, no, I think it's different. The truth, meaning it's still her home. Her home is still with her husband.
Oh yeah.
So since her home is still with her husband, she can't say, "Come to me. Where are you? You're in the middle of nowhere. I'm not going to you. You still live here. You have to come back to your houses. This is where your primary residence is, and over here we'll work things out." For the reason that now we're going to do a little bit of a pilpul over here. He's like this. We know in general the reason that, and this is kind of what we were talking about beforehand. The reason that the claimant has to go after the defendant, right?
Yeah.
Sorry. The reason is, meaning in general, who is she? She's the claimant, right? The woman's the claimant. She has to go. She has a problem. She ran away, right? She has a problem with someone, with her husband. She has to come and bring it up to her husband. But just going and running away is not going to save anything. Yeah? And we know that in general, if two people are in two places, right, the claimant has to come to the defendant. Now, this is Hevech Bedin Shebesei Perech Zebeder the Bedin Nelech Lemoyed the Makim Havad She'avad Level Ish Malved Be'im HaLevel Reitz the Makim Havad Mechlim HaLevel Lech. This is different from what we were talking about in the Shulchan Aruch, that the borrower is a slave to the lender, right? That's what the statement. The borrower is a slave to the lender, and whenever the lender wants to take him, he can take him. Whatever basis he feels will judge his case. That's a proper place, right? And that's where the borrower has to go. However, this is not similar to the concept of two claimants in a regular case, and we'll talk about it soon. Now, even though the Rambam and the Radbaz, they say that this applies to every single case. Okay. So basically, what we're saying now is, even though some people say that this duality or this relationship, or better word is whatever, the principles that guide the disputes between a lender and a borrower. Some people say this applies to all cases, right? And therefore, we have a question. However, so they say that the reason of this is only because that in general, no one goes and spends money for no reason. Yeah, I think it's finished. Well, that we know in general, anyone can go in for. I mean, according to the Ra'ah, he says any side can, theoretically speaking, force the other side to go to their to his best. It's only because Kishanisba Ayman Tilin Tilin Shurak Lahadam Kadesh Lay Yisba'enu Ayd Lachem Bataveash Leachinamati Hatzai Shakal Kaifa. So the Ra'ah says the only reason why, however, that we know, right, the Shulchan Aruch and Allah Paskins that only the lender can bring someone there is because we're afraid that the borrower is just doing this to stall time, so you can squeeze out of paying him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
It's been a long day, you know.
Young kids, it's always difficult to get a good night's sleep sometimes.
What? I'm sorry.
Young kids in the house.
Yeah. She wakes me up all night. Yeah. Okay.
Anyway,
Okay.
sorry.
It's always good. So he basically wants to say that the Ra'ah, I think the Ra'ah, he says that the rationale as to why only the lender is allowed to bring the borrower to anywhere, right, is because we're afraid that the borrower, we're afraid that if the borrower would want to go and start bringing the lender to any other basin that he feels is more fit, this could lead people to abuse it, and it could be used to toy and to waste time, so that you don't have to pay back your debt, right? If every time your lender comes to you and says, "Pay me back," wait 1 second, I can't go to this basin in town. We need to go to the basin in Arizona, or we need to go to the basin in France. We can't do it in England. It's not good. The English don't know what they're talking about. You go to France. France. Yeah. So what's going to happen every day? Whenever you want money, you're never going to get your money back.
Extra expense.
Also, you never get your money back because every guy's going to say, "Nah, I don't like France, I like Germany. I don't like Germany, Russia." Oh, that. So the point is that if we would allow that to happen, everyone would take advantage of that, and no one would get paid back. So therefore, we only allowed the lender to go and choose another place where he feels, choose another basin if he feels that he needs if he feels that the current basin wherever he is at is not going to.
Yeah.
Okay. The times that Siv Mahadik Ikosh Lachin Hikosh in at the VM with you size King Shamal Hilak Balaki Shama Shavish in keeping the Levik Isabus. Now, based on this, right? So, based on this, when the lender goes and he spends money on a trip to go somewhere to take the borrower with him there, we can feel that he is true and sincere about what he's doing, and that he's not just bringing the borrower to another location, but he's doing so because he feels this is the most honorable thing to do, right? Now, let's say, based on this, the lender does not go and pay money for expenses. Let's say he's going there on holiday. He's going on there on a vacation. And so if he's going there anyways, maybe the reason why he's going to this, maybe the lender wants to bring the borrower there because he's going there anyways. He's anyways going to Hawaii. So let me go and schlep my guy with me, my borrower with me to Hawaii. So now we can't say that there isn't necessarily any sort of altruistic or alternative motives now, because very possibly the opposite, that there is alternative motives, and this is a way for him to get the borrower to just kind of cave in. Now, Shach, however, does not agree to this, and the Ksas basically says that the reason why the Shach does not believe with this is because the Shach holds more of the concept that of the principle that a borrower is a slave to the lender. Therefore, if there's going to be the relationship between a lender and a borrower, then we're going to say the lender can bring the borrower to whoever he like to. But if it's going to be another situation, for example, damages or the breaking up of a partnership in these cases, according to the Ksas, you won't demand that anybody goes with him. However, Moshe Feinstien, who was writing this response, has another answer. He says like this. He says that it could be he said this, that it could be that you know. So before we were saying that when the lender goes and pays money on travel fears to bring the borrower with him, we can believe him. He says, but the real reason is that Mishum shesavri b'kara'a shemedina yachol kol echad mehem lachiv v'lelich levis avad v'rak mishmechshash sharnitzba maidim eini yachol ema muchach. He says the real reason over here is because that is the real reason why the lender can bring the borrower with him is because we just have too much suspicion on the borrower that if he would have the ability to bring to move cases from one basin to another, he would go and abuse that power. So therefore, when the lender goes and he's spending money on his trip for another reason, that's not the real reason as to why he's allowed to bring the borrower to another court. Because we can't say that the lender is trying to trick. Because obviously the lender would not make anybody crazy unless he goes and unless there's a reason for it, right? The lender wants his money. The lender doesn't want to make anyone crazy. And then we have to say and therefore he says the real reason over here is that because we just don't trust the borrower, but it has nothing to do with the lender so much. The lender is allowed. So even though this question is by all concepts, right? Is there if ever a time one party wants to bring another party to another basin, right? And they're going to be spending money on it anyways for a vacation or a business trip, it's expensive.
Yeah.
Are we still going to believe this gentleman? So that's a general question. However, we're using that, we're zoning it on our case of lender and borrower. We got and the reason Marek to say that it doesn't make sense to say that why Shalab Davka not go. One second. Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. Now the Maharik, who he said that that if the lender wants to go to a faraway place, so then and he's going there anyways, so therefore then he cannot schlep someone with him. We have to say that that it makes sense to him to say that shalab davka naktu lelechinam mitziyatzais. Lachein. So okay, so basically this. So we were saying that the Maharik was kind of focusing on this concept that that the lender is not going to go and spend money for no reason, unless he right, and therefore the fact that he's bringing someone to his place, this shows that there's a reason to why he's bringing someone to his basin. Okay. Now, and so, but anyway, the point is that the Maharik would still hold that as if a person is going there anyways, so therefore you cannot if a person is going there to a place anyways, you cannot go and force the lender to come with you, right?
Right.
But going back, as far as so, and we can say basically that the difference over here is whether it's important, it's important that when we see someone spending money, right? If someone's spending money, is this really telling us what's going to happen? And the Ra'ah obviously holds that essentially, I'm trying to keep up my train of thought here. Okay, yeah, Ra'ah holds that essentially both sides can bring someone there. We're just afraid that someone's going to make we're just afraid that someone's going to make trickery, and therefore when we see the lender going and spending money, we know that we can trust him. But essentially, the real reason over here is not so much him spending money. The real reason over here is that we just don't trust the lender, the borrower. The point is like this: that by a lender and a borrower, for sure, everyone agrees that that only the lender can bring the borrower, but the borrower cannot bring the lender, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But however, this all applies when you have clear, when you have two clear, a borrower and a lender, right? And they're both living in the same place.
Yeah.
However, what's going to happen if they're living in two different places, right?
Right.
So let's say that
temporarily or permanently or whatever.
Well, let's say permanently. Let's say permanently two separate places. So then we're going to say that the lender has to go after the borrower. Now, what's the reason for that? So we bring down the Gra, the Goin Reb, the Vilna Goin.
Yeah.
He says, "Meha the mana koiv lekiva azli ve'asavish amil mized gamedin zed who tzarich lemiz laha asha shach leish leapish." We know that the law is if someone's sick, he goes to the doctor. The doctor doesn't go to you. Yes, there is visiting doctors, but in general, if you have the problem, you have the malady, you have to go to the doctor. So therefore, the lender has to go to the borrower. It's in two separate places. And therefore, in any case that there's no real, that nothing was established yet, they haven't come to court yet. However, in a case, okay. However, in our case, in the case of the woman and the man, the husband and the wife, that people already heard about this. Meaning, it's one thing if they're both in two separate places, and now, okay, I want the guy to pay me money, but we don't know what's happening here. So you have to go to that guy because nothing's established. In our case, it's established. We know the woman ran away, and now she's coming over here. Everyone sees that the husband is asking from her money, but now everyone sees what's a real thing. The husband is in the home court. Once you leave the house, the husband's in the home court, and we see she's the one that's running away, and she's bas. So even though essentially
Whoops.
Yeah. Not yet. So even though essentially he's the asker and she's the one being asked, right? Because I guess he's going there and saying, "Where did you go?" Yes, she has problems, but he's still going to say, "Where did you go?"
Right. Sorry, I've lost video. Don't worry about it.
Okay, fine, no problem. So since this is the case, even though in general we say that the claimant has to go to the place where he's trying to solve a claim. In our case, it's not the case. Once she leaves, it's not considered anymore a situation of two claimants, but rather it totally changes. And it's pretty much like a milva and a leva. It's like a lender and a borrower, and therefore she has to go to where the husband is. Let's just finish up a little bit. One second. Eved leva. Even though
go on.
Okay. Now we're not talking about, according to those that they say that in every we're not even talking about the fact that some people say that every single situation is going to be like the lave and the malva, right? Like who said that? I think the Rambam was one that said that. The Rambam said that basically every single situation, right? The Rambam said every situation, the malva is in a home court, the lender is in a home court, and the leva has to always come to him.
Yeah.
But rather, okay, fine. So, but rather, even in other situations, lekatin zena, afilim mishpat b'shat lekatin zena, maybe ish lebalam shashimu shabesh like yesh lekatin leva lemalva mitim zeshu ke'ever leva. However, in our case, because she ran away, she is going to be considered like the borrower. Now, similarly, I'm sure she has complaints. However, we don't know anything until she comes and she brings up the complaints in the basin. Therefore, she needs to come. She has to come to her place, to the place of the husband. So the point is, since we don't know of her questions, meaning obviously she asks questions, but once she leaves home, meaning she never said anything about her questions. All we know is that she left home, right? So she left home. She lost the home base. She wants to go and solve this. She has to come back to the base.
Right.
However, the husband, however, all we're saying over here is only if there is because they're still married, and therefore she has a certain obligation to her husband, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and she ran away, so she has questions, she has problems. Let her come to the husband. However, if they would actually be deciding to divorce, then there's no connection anymore, because they cut off any obligation between one to the other, and on a contrary, therefore there's no, now it's not going to be like a regular. Now it's not going to be like, oh, two people don't know who's coming to who. I'm sorry. Now it's not going to be that the husband is in the home base, so to speak, and the wife has to come home. But rather, it's going to be like any two people that have a problem with each other. Yeah. Uh-huh.
What?
So over here it would be basically who has more pain, meaning who has more pain and who needs to go to the other person. So whoever I guess needs the other person more, that person has to go to that side. The kiva, meaning once there's no obligation between one and another, so now we have to basically look at the case and see who is really being asked to give and who is really asking to receive, and then we would know who is Tevea, who's a Nitba. However, since in this case, thank God, they just want to go and make peace between each other.
Right.
So therefore, the woman does need to go back to her house. And that is the end of that. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, sir, for coming and listening today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I hope you understood it. So basically, in the end, we said that the wife needs to go back to the husband because they were just having some shalom bias problems.
Yeah, sure.
And she really belonged at home. However, if there was going to be a total divorce, then it would be a different case of a nitba and a tevea. All right, well, have a wonderful weekend. Only good
You
news.
too. And all being well, we'll have some more people on the course next week.
Amen. Okay, thank you, sir.
Have a good week.
You too. Have a wonderful week.